While My Hero Academia's all-out war arc is still going on in the manga, I believe this final act will inevitably lead to a sequel series that will see Japan and its heroes divided against the rest of the world, causing a huge civil war between its heroes and the world's heroes. It sounds crazy, but let's break down the My Hero Academia Civil War theory, because there is so much pointing to this actually becoming a reality. So, after seeing that America had lost their biggest player in Stars and Stripes to Shigaraki, all the other countries and nations backed off from sending their top pro heroes to go and aid Japan, as it would leave them defenseless given the sudden spike in crime caused by All For One, and they would be risking losing their top pro heroes in the fight against All For One if they were to be sent out. All in all, Japan is left to handle All For One by themselves, and as we know, Japan really needed this reinforcement because a ton of heroes have quit, leaving our remaining true heroes outnumbered by All For One's remaining forces. This on its own is enough ground to cause a lot of tension between Japan and the rest of the world after the war is over, as they were pretty much abandoned in their time of need, yet when the world needed them to help against the threat of Humorize in the World Heroes Mission movie, Japan and its heroes were spread out all across the world to save everyone and not just themselves. In chapter 384, we see that the thought of being abandoned by the rest of the world still lingers heavily on the back of many people's minds, as the news reporter mentions that the rest of the world have already been reporting the fall of Japan. We even see in the chapter that some of the international heroes that would have been sent as reinforcements and even the President of the United States were watching the war live, and it still looks as if there isn't any effort being put into these heroes being sent out to help Japan, as the pro hero Elect Plant is shown to be standing in front of the Big Ben in London where he resides at. Though there were some heroes like Salam and Big Red Dot being shown to be willing to aid Japan and even outraged at the fact that they were no longer being sent to help our heroes, by the time the war is over there will be plenty of casualties and heroes injured that could have been prevented if they were present from the beginning. This will cause a divide in Japan, as the first party will feel like so much could have been prevented if the world had come to help instead of hiding and cowering in fear, while the second party would take the much more understanding route and show how everyone was pretty much too scared to even send help to begin with, as we've seen in chapter 364, where the rest of the world is waiting to see who would win the war. If All For One were to win with his overwhelming strength and numbers, then their countries and nations would be safe since they didn't participate in the war, meaning that All For One would have no need to go after them as they didn't defy him. This of course already has America shivering their timbers, as they pretty much were the only nation to cross the line and make All For One an enemy, with Stars and Stripes going ahead and fighting Shigaraki and the missiles being sent in to kill Shigaraki during their fight. Of course, she ended up losing and the missiles failed, and now the US is pretty much in shambles as the people seem to be rioting in the streets, destroying property, and having signs stating "We are All For One." This of course has been displayed to us as very cowardly on the part of the world's governments, which is most likely how the first party will end up seeing it. Though the US president has decided to appease All For One to minimize casualties and to feel him out for a more decisive strike later if he were to win, there are still many in the US like Timothy Akpar and the BCD news reporter from chapter 374 who stand firmly opposed to their governments and the world's decision to pander to All For One, which the second party is going to notice that there were people all around the world who did want to help and didn't agree with what their nations were doing during Japan's time of need, as well as noting that those people rioting in the streets saying "We are All For One" were probably scared to the point that they had to make it clear that they were not a threat towards All For One, and hoping to possibly be spared in case All For One decided to go after the US. As you can see, both parties do have their reasons for not feeling the way they feel about the stuff that happened during and after the war, and it will cause our heroes and Japan to be divided. And while this superhero civil war is all happening, I feel like this is where a new villain would end up showing up that agrees with the first party because of them losing everything during the all-out war against All For One, and is is going to go against the rest of the world and those who defend them. This new villain could be what gets all the heroes to work in tandem with each other to fight off against them, as they would be the new big threat in a possible sequel series, or hell, even a movie that covers the aftermath of the war. That's pretty much the My Hero Academia Civil War theory. I think it holds a lot of weight for this to actually happen, as given what's going on in the manga, there's just no way in hell everything is going to be resolved all happily, where certain characters and people of Japan are not going to be feeling a certain type of way at the fact that Japan was left to fend for themselves. Plus the fact that right now in the manga there are many heroes who are tired and extremely injured to the point where they might actually die from those injuries alone. And personally, it just feels like all of this could have been prevented if the world had just sent reinforcements to Japan. I think this theory would make for a really awesome start to a sequel series or even a movie, but it really all just depends on how My Hero Academia will end. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the theory. Do you think this will happen? Let me know everything in the comment section below. With that said, thanks for watching another My Hero Academia theory video. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to Detroit smash that like button below and share the video with your friends to really get this discussion going. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new for more My Hero Academia videos, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.